Welcome to the Stadium Journey podcast. We are proud to be part of the VOC Nation Radio Network. And Stadium Journey, as you know, if you don't know, you're going to know it soon enough. We're more than just an awesome podcast. Our website, stadiumjourney.com, contains over 2,500 stadium reviews, news items, and great features perfect for the traveling sports fan. In addition to the website, we are all over social media, you tried to say.
Easy for you to say.
Stop trying to talk so fast. Let your brain and your mouth work together. Thank you. We are on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Like and follow us everywhere. And as you may or may not know, the Stadium Journey podcast is the perfect companion while you're on a road trip. To find our episodes, just type in VOC Nation Radio Network into your podcast search app on your phone, or look under the podcast tab on the Stadium Journey website. In addition, all of our old video podcasts are on the Stadium Journey YouTube channel, perfect for binge watching. And we also stream live on twitch.tv/danlaw83. Welcome to everyone who is listening there right now. The chat box is open. And now, here's our starting lineup. We've got Dave Cotney, as always, with us. Follow him at ProFan9. Mark Viquez can be found online at Ballpark Hunter. Our producer, the above-average comedian, Dan Calachico, is online at DanLaw83. And I am Paul Baker. You can follow me at PuckmanRI. And so today, as Ace Frehley might say, we get back into the New York groove.
Or as he also might say, I don't know where I am right now.
Yeah, who knows what Ace will be saying these days. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about the stadiums of New York City. So, guys, let's see. New York City, big city, a lot of teams, a lot of crappy stadiums, at least by reputation. Why?
Whose reputation? Whose reputation?
Everybody else around them.
Stadium Journey.
Shea Stadium is gone. It's been knocked down for over 10 years.
You know, a friend of mine asked me if I wanted to go to the last Phillies-Mets game at Shea Stadium, and I replied very politely, if I wanted to step in dog crap, I'd walk out back of my house with my eyes closed and just happen upon it.
Well, you would go to that part of South Street where it gets kind of shitty.
Well, I mean, it's very – I mean, which part?
It's like I used to go there, and there used to be like a Tower Records at the end of one block, and then if you kept walking, you.
I'm not going to say anything because we're going to talk about the wrong city, but we'll talk later.
We'll say that for another episode. We can definitely do a Philadelphia, but it's about New York, Big Brother.
That's its crap. Shea Stadium was garbage. Thank you. Moving on.
It was past its prime.
Thank you for coming.
It's not there anymore.
Mark,
I liked Shea Stadium better than Yankee Stadium.
Well, they're both garbage.
Well, I like the team better.
No,
yeah.
I'm kidding.
I mean, Yankee Stadium, old Yankee Stadium was a better ballpark. Met Stadium, Shea Stadium was, one of those multi-purpose venues that, by a certain era was kind of past its prime. I love Citi Field though. It's a great ballpark, great food, easier to get to than New Yankee Stadium, but it's a little bit of money to go to this to go to a Met game for where I grew up, so that's kind of where I'm looking at. But for aesthetics and comfort, food, maybe comparison to New Yankee Stadium, I like Citi Field. And and if the team is going to be as good as they are on paper, it's going to be an exciting year to go to Citi Field if they allow fans. Can only hope.
So why go ahead, Dan.
I was just going to say about Shea Stadium, Preston and Steve of Preston and Steve in Philadelphia. Yeah. Yes, I went back there for a second. There's a reason. He was born and raised in Long Island, New York. And he said that he saw, I forgot, it was either the Clash or the Who at Shea Stadium in the early 80s. And he sat way up at the top. And he said that he thought they were going to die because the concert was so loud and the stadium moved an inch every thump of the bass and the bass drum.
It's been known. And
it was like, he's like, I'm pretty sure I thought it was over. It was so bad up there.
Yeah, Mark, I concur with you on Shea Stadium. I got to go to one Mets game there, and we sat up near the top, and that was the first time I ever got vertigo.
Yeah,
you know that
up there.
You felt like if you were walking down the stairs, and if you fell, you were going to keep rolling right off the upper deck.
Well, I mean, it was built in 1964. It was supposed to house the Jets at one point, and when they left, you still had the same stadium there. It was still, the last seat behind home plate or down one of the right fields or left field line. Yeah, you're way up there. They just don't build stadiums like that anymore, and rightfully so. They are a relic of another time. But that's what it was. You just built the biggest stadium you can find and put 65,000. I think it's at about 60, maybe 55, 60,000. And who cares if you have vertigo? Who cares if a wind or the engine of a jet falls on top of you?
I might have.
We got your money. We got your money. So yeah, and that's why they built the new stadium, which is a lot nicer, a lot prettier. I think it's very Brooklyn Dodger heavy when it first opened. Would like to see a statue of Tom Seaver, which new owner Steve Cohen's going to add. And if we can put some winning back into the Mets, that'd be even better. So it's that whole area can use a revitalization, because I think there's like a scrapyard still behind Citi Field.
Yep.
And that's not very pleasing. So make that into like maybe one of those outdoor live workplace areas.
That's not live work play. It's live work and play for a hell of a lot of rats.
Well, yeah, it's and then of course you have Arthur Ashe Stadium nearby, and then you have the World's Fair site of 64. So it's an interesting little spot. But for me, you would have to drive there from New Jersey and take the outer bridge of Verrazano and pay both tolls and pay to park. And my dad would always avoid the ticket, the toll going back into, I guess, off the Verrazano and go through the city, and we would get lost. And it was always an adventure coming back from shit.
What is it about dads, especially guys around our age, our dads in tolls?
No. My dad, what he want to pay? He would drive like an extra 2 miles to avoid like a 25-cent toll on the Garden State Parkway.
Dave, you're being super patient over there.
Yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed my time at Shea. We were there in 2008, and I think more than being excellent in and of itself, it was not Yankee Stadium, and we were at Yankee Stadium in August. We happened to be there on the alumni game, which I found out much later was actually a really big deal. But we were in the bleachers. Like, I don't feel I have been farther from home plate ever in life than I was in Yankee Stadium. And it was one of those stadiums where you're in the bleachers. It's like you're in this little cow hold. Like, you cannot leave. You cannot like go and walk around anywhere. You were stuck there. It was hot. It was miserable. The grade out there was way too gradual, so you felt like you were even farther away. The people that worked there were just rude. I've been told that I have to tell this story. My wife, like, we're cooking out there. My wife went to get an ice cream, and so she found a vendor, and the vendor told her right away, rather rudely, "Yeah, I don't have any change." So rather than, probably do what he wanted her to, which was just like, oh, just keep it or whatever, she was like, forget this, left and went somewhere else. I think we lasted maybe 4 innings there. Like, we had just such a horrible time. But then went to Shea Stadium, a few days later, it was definitely unassuming. It was not, it was not beautiful or whatever. The concession options in Yankee Stadium were terrible. So I wasn't expecting much when I went to Shea, but I had like the best sandwich ever. And it was very unassuming. And we weren't like way up at the top. We were in the upper deck, but not way up in the upper deck. And it was at the time where, they had started building Citi Field. 2008 was the last year for both of them. And we just had a really nice time. It wasn't spectacular, but we were just so turned off by Yankee Stadium. Shea Stadium was great.
Go ahead, Mark.
I remember growing up, I probably went to more Yankee games because it was easier, and I had 2 friends that lived down the block from me whose father and older brothers were Yankee fans. So it wasn't uncommon to say, hey, guys, let's go check out the Yankee game. Let's get $6 bleacher tickets. They're playing the Red Sox. And we would sit in the bleachers, and you would hear some of the vile, foulest language you would ever hear in your life. And, you have little kids there hearing this type of profanity against Jose Canseco or Tom Bernansky or whoever was playing right field for the opposing team. And then to top it off, leaving Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, you get lost too coming back home because you try to avoid the traffic. And I can remember the Bronx and the burned out buildings and the dilapidated neighborhood and some of the prostitutes that would hang out there or come to your car window. And ask you for a good time. That happened. My buddy and I still talk about that night. This is like 1990, almost, well over 30 years ago. We had a prostitute come up and say, "Come on, baby, let's have a good time, me and you."
I believe the term is called sex worker.
Sex workers. So yeah, those were the highlights going to Yankee Stadium.
Not 1990, it wasn't.
Yeah,
Oh.
That was the yeah. It wasn't Julia Roberts coming up to your car. It was somebody who had some venereal disease.
Ethel.
You didn't want to get.
Hey.
So Yankee Stadium was fun, and I always thought it was the better place to watch baseball. I didn't despise the Yankees back then, as much as towards the end of the decade.
But you do now.
Oh yeah. But Shea Stadium to me was always a little bit further to go out to, but that was my team, and that's where you got to see Gooden and Strawberry and Cone and Hernandez and Carter and Kevin McReynolds and Mookie Wilson and Wally Backman before everything went to putter there. So yeah, it was neat growing up with two ballparks within reasonable distance. But the funny thing is, driving down to Philadelphia to see a game was probably the easiest thing to do in realms of paying tolls and
less prostitutes,
parking. Yeah, less prostitutes, more cheesesteaks. Well, unless you wind up in Delaware.
Yeah. Now, if you drove over to, never mind.
But yeah,
I promise, listeners, we're not going to just crap all over New York for the next hour. And we kind of hit the ground and took a right turn right off the bat here. Went right off to Shea Stadium. Let's try to frame
kind of like Shea Stadium.
Let's try to frame our conversation a little bit here. When you talk New York, like we said, they've got a ton of teams. They've got 2 Major League Baseball, 2 NFL.
Some of them even play in the state.
Well, that was my point I was getting to.
No, there's a reason.
2 NBA, 3 NHL. You got MLS teams. I think you got a pair of them. But yeah, some play in New York proper. Some play in one of the boroughs. Some play different states.
Well,
if we're talking New York stadiums. In your mind, what are we talking about, gentlemen?
Well, you're talking Madison Square Garden, Yankee Stadium, Shea, Barclays would be not Shea, Citi Field. Those would be, the ones in the 5 boroughs.
But do you include where the Islanders play?
No.
Do you consider
It's
the Meadowlands part of
well, here's the thing.
No.
The New York market will always consider the Meadowlands because that's where the Jets and Giants play. But for many years, the Devils and Nets played there, and they didn't give them any attention. WFAN, the radio station, almost ignored the fact that they won 3 Stanley Cups playing out there. So I think most New Yorkers that live in the city, they wouldn't consider Newark the Rock, Prudential Center, New York, and the Islanders are the island. They play on Long Island, so they probably wouldn't consider them New York proper as well. And if you look at the definition of New York proper, the 5 boroughs, yes.
Hold on. Are we talking about New York City or New York State?
We're talking about New York area. We're not talking state because then we have to talk about Buffalo, and nobody wants to do that.
No, that's many hours
well,
away.
see, but it's labeled as New York, so we're talking about New York
talking
City.
About we're talking about the city.
No, I don't. I thought
Yes,
we're talking about New York State.
No. New York State, my God, Rochester, Syracuse.
Well, we don't have to talk about those losers.
I like Rochester and Syracuse fine, but that's
that's Western New York.
That's a different world right there.
Yeah.
That's a whole new world.
And there's also 2 minor league ballparks in the boroughs, so there's something else you can talk
We're going to get to them too.
As Tim says, no, I guess not Long Island, so I won't mention the audience.
Yeah. Well, it depends. I mean, there's Islander fans. They played in Brooklyn for a little while. That just tells you they didn't want to go to Brooklyn to see games. They wanted to stay on the island.
When we get to them, I'll talk about that. My experience there. Ooh.
Albany.
But Dave, you've been patient once again. What's up?
Well, I'd like to point out
Dave was acting like he's not from New York. He's being polite.
It's because I'm from Canada.
Yeah, he's Canadian.
Yeah.
I would like to point out that that the other two guys that are getting a little hot about this, New York, New Jersey thing are both from New Jersey, and I think
One's from the Philly area.
I'm gonna
We're
say
gonna
that
fight
there's
tonight. We're fighting tonight, dude.
I'm gonna say that there's a bit of a
Mike Trout
rivalry
territory.
there. There's a bit of animosity between those who are Jersey people and those who are New York people.
No, it's very simple. If you don't play in your own state, I don't have respect for you, and
Well,
you don't count.
the Flyers almost played in Camden many
Almost,
years ago.
but they don't.
Hey, I would love the Jets and Giants to go by the New Jersey moniker, but that's not going to happen. That's not my choice.
New Jersey
So
Jets
I
sounds
would
better.
say,
Sorry, Dave.
as an outsider, as like a regular guy who's not a New York person, the Islanders would be considered New York. The Jets and Giants are considered New York. The Red Bulls are considered New York. Why? Because they say New York.
City
Now,
or New
right
York?
or wrong,
I'm agreeing, yeah.
right or wrong,
New York metro area, yeah.
right.
Okay, well, you are correct then. Yes, I agree.
Right or wrong, like this is how people view it. If the Islanders and Long Island were not considered part of New York, then they should have been folded or moved eons ago. Right? They still have that New York market, even though they have had like the worst attendance in the league for I don't know how many years running. To me that's the big dirty secret of the NHL, that the attendance for the Islanders has been worse than the Coyotes, has been worse than the Hurricanes, has been worse than the Florida Panthers. All these teams that, they're in the Sun Belt, they don't know anything about hockey. Well, you know what? The four-time Stanley Cup champion New York Islanders have not been drawing flies for a while.
Now, have anybody on the panel been able to catch Islanders games actually first in Nassau Coliseum and then at the Barclays Center?
Never in Brooklyn. But
I've done both. So
I saw one at Nassau, and we had a blast.
Yeah.
Again, it's same sort of thing. A smaller place. I would say it would kind of remind me of the kind of Spectrum size.
Yeah.
Right. It had that kind of feel to it.
filter on the same time, sure.
Good crowd, really good crowd. Like they were right into it. We happened to see I remember that game. I think it was the first ever shootout I saw at the end. So Rick DiPietro was the goalie, and they were going nuts for him. And we had a blast. We had an absolute blast. Was it the nicest spot? No, not really. I can't comment on Brooklyn. I've seen enough to know I never want to see the Islanders play in Brooklyn, but you could speak on Brooklyn, Paul.
Hang on, Dan's got a point.
And you won't see them playing in Brooklyn either.
No. So
Never happening again.
Dave, I share your fondness for Nassau Coliseum. I thought it was a great hockey barn, very 70s in feel and everything about it. And yeah, so when did they move to Barclays Center? That was
last lockout year.
so 04?
No.
13 maybe?
The broken.
13?
It was
Yeah.
12 or 13 because I made the point that they announced it during a lockout. I was like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to go to a game in Brooklyn, and Dave, the area around the Barclays Center is while it's a step up from the neighborhood around City or around Yankee Stadium, it's still not fantastic. It's definitely not a live, work, play area. It's very gritty. It's very Brooklyny.
Watch your mouth.
Brooklyn.
Gritty. I get it. But anyway, yeah. So we were walking. We actually went over to Junior's Cheesecake before the game. Oh my God, fantastic!
Yeah.
If you're in Brooklyn, go to Junior's Cheesecake. Yes, please, 100 times, and have one for me. Have a slice of cheesecake for me. But anyway, we were walking back to the arena, and there is a subway stop right at the arena. So as we were walking in, all the Islander fans were coming up the stairs, and you know how usually before a game, there's anticipation, there's excitement. You could tell that these Islanders fans were miserable about having to go into Brooklyn to catch their team. There was not a smile in the bunch, and the atmosphere throughout the game just reflected that. It was dead. It was a mausoleum, and not just because it's so dark, and not just because the color scheme is black and gray, but there was just no atmosphere there. So yeah, it's great that they're building their own place and moving on.
Everything about that was like just putting a Band-Aid over a wound twice the size. It was never going to be fixed. And myself, Paul, many others called how bad that was going to look. Yeah. And it did look bad.
So,
aesthetically, nobody went.
Right.
It's just, it's a beautiful arena, especially if you like no colors.
Yeah, monochrome, yeah.
Yeah, monochrome. Great. The scoreboard was off center, as Tim Capper just.
Yep. Well, yeah, the Barclays Center was built for the Nets. It was built to be a basketball arena, and it's fantastic. It's beautiful.
Beautiful basketball arena. For hockey, it's one of the worst things that's ever been created, and it fell apart as I think it thought it should.
Yeah. So when they fit it up for hockey, because it didn't line up, like Tim was just saying, the rink is not center, so the center hung scoreboard, which is right in the middle of the basketball court, is kind of over on the blue line. So it's kind of weird. Mark.
Yeah, actually 2015, the Islanders moved to Brooklyn. So yeah, that just ticked off a lot of Islander fans because like I said earlier, I think it's like maybe 13 miles away from Nassau Coliseum.
Not that far, yeah.
But still, it's the traffic, it's the parking, it's going into the city. The same things we complain about from New Jersey. The Islanders are called the Islanders because they play on Long Island, and that's where they should have been.
Technically, Brooklyn's on the island.
It's on Manhattan.
Yeah, well, technically. But what the Islanders should have done is they should have said, we're going to move there for 2 years. Let's renovate our Coliseum, and we'll come back. I know that wasn't the plan. It just worked out that they're building another arena out in Long Island.
They renovated Nassau, and now they're building a new one in Belmont.
Yeah, Belmont. So they're going to have 2 arenas out there. I guess they can support – I don't know. Can they support 2? Who knows? But it's it's Islander – and the Islanders started winning after a while, too. The Islanders were garbage for so many years after the Stanley Cup run in the late 80s that it was going to a mausoleum. That's what they used to call the Coliseum for many years, the mausoleum. So –
2012, it was announced, by the way.
Okay. If the team's winning, the Islander fans are going to come out. They want to see a winning club. I don't blame them. I want to see a winning club, too, for my hockey team. It's been a while.
Tim Capper wants to know how far is the new arena from Nassau. That's actually, I don't know.
Like 5 or 6 miles.
I think it's right across the parking lot.
It's not that close, but it's very close.
I think it's about 6-8 miles. Yeah,
it's literally right next to the racetrack.
It's right next to the Belmont racetrack.
It's the Belmont.
Yeah, it's very close. It's very close. My big experience going to Nassau Coliseum was to see indoor lacrosse games way back in the day, New York Saints. And whenever they would show Ranger scores, all the Islander fans would start screaming 1940 or last place Rangers. So even at lacrosse games, the Islander fans were rubbing into the Ranger fans. Last place Rangers.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know what's awesome about the hockey rivalry in New York? Dennis Potvin has not played since what? When did he retire? 1980, 1981?
Oh.
No.
You can still go to a game. No, not 81, 90, 91.
91.
Yeah. I was off by a decade. You can go to a Ranger game and you still hear people chanting Potvin sucks.
1988. Yes.
Hey, that was close.
Yeah.
Dave.
Oh yeah, they still hate him out there.
Don't you think though that the Islanders moving, as bad as that was, as bad a deal as it was to go to Brooklyn, don't you think it needed to happen though? Like they needed to leave to get what they wanted, because how many years were they toiling and like New York politics
right.
is crazy. Like him or hate him, like the idea or hate the idea, I'm not sure the new Yankee Stadium or Citi Field would have been built without Rudy Giuliani, kind of pulling a fast one on his way out of office. I don't think it would have happened.
I love the like him or hate him thing.
That was before he went crazy.
Well, yeah.
Maybe before he was. Never mind.
Yeah. Well,
New Yorkers didn't like him before, and they don't like him after. That's what I've been told. I've just,
It's because I think those are two major league stadiums that were built first time in God knows how long. I mean, that's why the Jets and Giants don't play in the city.
Right.
New York has such a bad luck of teams either moving out or And I know it's because of space. It's like, well, where are you putting this one? But
I mean, there's some land you can
I do feel for New York fans sometimes, because at any moment, like, well, we're going to build a new arena. No, we're not. Well, 5 years we're leaving and going to Kansas or California. It's like, wait, hold on. This is not my problem. Fix it.
It's funny. I was looking at some video of mine from 1994, and I'm standing in front of. I have a video of the Omni. I was in Atlanta, the Omni, the Georgia Dome, Atlanta, Fulton County, and they were building the Olympic Stadium.
Yeah.
All of those are gone now, replaced by new stadiums. You know, you go back to New York City, 1994, you still have a lot of the same venues hanging around.
Some cities build them quick, others don't. Dave.
Yeah.
So, being that the day we are recording this is the day before the inauguration, here's a little bit of a what if thought for you.
Oh boy.
Before the current / former president of the United States decided to run for office,
Oh, excuse me.
his goal
That
was
never would've
once
happened.
again to purchase an NFL franchise, and he had put in a bid to buy the Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
And he was verbal about the importance of Western New York, and the Bills need to stay where they are. They just need a new stadium, blah, 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 blah. I think it's fair to say that nobody in Buffalo, nobody up here, nobody anywhere believed that Donald Trump would have kept the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. There is no doubt he would have made a play to find a spot in New York City proper, to put that team.
Mm-hmm.
If he would have got the Bills, how different would life have been? And would he have been able to find a spot for them in New York? Where was that spot that the Jets were going to build?
That was on the west side of Manhattan, on the West Side Parkway, or Javits Center, next to the Javits Center.
Tim.
Good. That was lunacy. There was no way that was going to happen.
Tim says he's going to move the Bills to the USFL.
Yeah. Well, judging by the way he ran the country, the Bills would continue to be in last
Well,
place.
yeah. Let me just answer, Dave. Serious answer for a second. It would have fallen apart like everything else does.
Well, that's true. But couldn't you see him making a play to take a chunk of Central Park and
Probably,
dump a
sure.
football stadium in the middle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
it's gone, man.
It
Sure.
sounds silly, and if you've ever been to Central Park, you're like, "There's no way." But
It
would've
doesn't sound
totally
that silly at
pushed
all.
that.
No, it doesn't. Everything you're saying is very viable, and is a very good what if considering.
So, are you all aware that the Yankees came so very close to playing at the Meadowlands?
No.
Yeah, that was like early 70s. It was
Mid 70s, yeah. Steinbrenner had, I think it was all done except for the signing on the dotted line, that he was going to build a stadium next to the new football stadium, mid to late 70s, and the Yankees were going to play in New Jersey.
You see what I mean? You see what I mean? There's always this threat of losing your team. It's like,
Well,
I joke around because of the rivalry thing. I don't care past the joking rivalry thing, but I just think about the Dodgers and other teams that have moved. I'm like, it must be mind-numbingly annoying. What do you mean? I mean,
how
is
many
your
teams
mom still mad about it?
How many? Well, no, she's. Look, I don't know.
But you mentioned it. You're the one that said it.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. Yeah, there were people pissed off at the Dodgers or Giants move, but I don't think has any team moved.
But what I'm saying is
Since then?
What I'm saying is New York, more than any other area and city, really. Apparently, every team in California too, has this, cloud hanging over their head. Like, if there's a disagreement about a stadium and where it's going to go, team is gone. Even the Yankees could leave. You just explained it. That sucks.
Well, they probably, they could leave and still have huge attendance because they're a national team. So
sure,
except
if it's any team that's going to move will be
that. This is 2020, and that was 1960 something.
Hey, the Red Sox almost moved out of Boston in that same time period.
But you know what?
Let's move back to New
now
York.
it's not stadiums. It's not. It's television. It's streaming. That's where the money's coming from. There is no way that that the Yankees would move anywhere
No.
away from
Now,
the New
yeah.
York market,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like
I would never say never.
even the Islanders. It's the TV. It's the deal to be on whatever. I don't know if they're on MSG Plus or
Yes,
You
and
think
why? I don't know.
streaming would have saved the
Whatever.
Dodgers?
Well,
In
the
the
Brooklyn
50s.
Dodgers.
Yeah.
they got they got such a great deal to go out there. But I mean, the Islanders were the one team that threatened Kansas City. I heard, or was that Pittsburgh?
That was Pittsburgh.
There was, but they're still there. They just moved to Brooklyn, and the Nets, initially played on Long Island, and then they moved to Jersey, and then they moved back to New York. So there you go. We got a team that came back.
So yeah, we were talking about the Barclays Center. I'm trying to tie up loose ends here. Yeah, Barclays Center for basketball. I don't think any of us has been, but
No,
I've
never been inside the building.
The arena was built specifically for basketball, and from everything I've heard, it's a beautiful, beautiful place to catch a game. But it's kind of weird. If you've been to the Barclays Center, the color scheme is black and gray. It's very dark. The lighting is, even in the concourses, is very dim. The lighting in the seating bowl is non-existent. That's why they call it the Darklay Center, because there's no lights. You literally can't find your seat once the game starts because they shut all the lights off.
I haven't heard that.
But they did that on purpose. Like they were
Yeah.
talking about like that sort of Lakers.
Right.
It was something that the Lakers had started where, when it comes to game time, like it's like a theater, right? The house lights are off and all
Yep.
the focus is on the floor.
It makes it hard though. I stepped on somebody's nachos when I was there.
That was a conscious decision to do that same sort of thing, to
Yeah.
have the seating bowl dark and the focus all be on the floor.
Very modern, very, very nice day. I would like to go back there for the Nets. We started this podcast talking about Citi Field and the new Yankee Stadium. And Mark, you said you really like Citi Field. I know that I really enjoy Citi Field. And Dave, you said
I like Citi Field.
Yeah,
so. Why is it not more well received among us stadium geeks? Why does it not receive the love maybe it should?
I don't think it's ranked as one of the best, but I don't think it's ranked as one of the worst. It's sort of kind of top 15, maybe middle of the pack. I mean, maybe if the team starts winning, you may see something different, but it's I know New Yankee Stadium doesn't get a lot of love just because it's a giant museum and overpriced, but
that's the thing about New York. We'll probably get into that. We'll touch on the price.
I think that could be the big reason. Yeah, I don't think Citi Field's in the top 10, maybe some top 10s. But
it wouldn't be in mine. I'm with you. It's middle of the pack, but I like it. I like it a lot better than Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, it's it just happens to fall into top 12, 13, 14. Not the end of the world, but not the elite.
Yeah.
I think it's a product of the time, and it's not about Citi Field as much as it's about everywhere else, right? Like, is there anything that they could have done? Here's my thinking. My favorite's PNC Park in Pittsburgh. Is there anything they could have done at Citi Field in New York to make it better than PNC? And to me,
could overlook with a view of the impound lots.
Nothing. Like in that classic like Mickey's trailer cartoon where they're all the trailers there and it's all this nice sort of farmland and the birds or whatever, and then they get ready to leave and the whole backdrop folds up and you see that they're outside the dump, right? Like there's nothing that they can do to get that backdrop. And to me, and we could argue about what the most important things are in a ballpark. To me, one of the most important things are my sight lines. So, to me, the sight lines are best in Pittsburgh. There's nothing that can beat them. There's no way that Toronto's talking about a new park. There's no way that they're going to be able to do anything that's as good as Pittsburgh. They just can't. They don't have a spot for it. Same with Citi Field. It's just there's so many other ones who have got, I like this a little bit better than Citi Field, and I like that a little bit better than Citi Field.
Yeah,
I like this
like
a little
Petco
bit better than Citi Field.
Target Field, yeah.
All right, so compare and contrast Citi Field with Yankee Stadium, which is, I think, pretty universally panned by all baseball fans.
It's a tourist
Why?
spot.
Why did Yankee Stadium not work? It cost $1 billion to build, for crying out loud.
They charged the people $1 billion to go in. That was the big thing at the beginning, right? Like the costs were just astronomical to the point where it was visible, right? And I want to say the Yes Network had direction from the Yankees as to what they could show on television and what they couldn't, because they sort of took that premium seating idea to the next level, and everything that was close to the
moat,
field
yes.
was crazy expensive. And I don't know if you've seen the 30 for 30 on it's called The House That Steinbrenner Built, and they showed these guys, these bleacher creature guys who had tickets forever in old Yankee Stadium, and they got there and you know what's out in the center field now, the giant video
That
board,
bar, yeah.
and whatever, and it kind of jets out. Well, now they have obstructed view seats, right?
And pretty seriously obstructed. It's like you can't even see center and right field from where they are. Yeah.
Here's the big one to me. So, what's the touristy kind of thing about new Yankee Stadium? Like, if you're going to go to Yankee Stadium, what do you have to see?
The Hall of, what is it called? The Hall of Numbers, or
Monument Park.
Monument Park, yeah.
Monument Park.
Before the game, because they close it.
Exactly. So if you're going to go see Monument Park, you need to get there as soon as it opens, and you need to hustle and bustle to get into line there, because about 15 minutes after the gates open, that line is going to be shut off, and there's going to be cranky ushers that are yelling at you, nope, you're not going to get in. Don't get in line. We went. I wanted to go. Nope. Well, suddenly that's a big disappointment. Right?
We got in.
And
we didn't listen to the ushers.
They've put it in a spot where, oh, wow, the players are happy about it. But if I want to go to see, that kind of area in Cleveland, I can do it anytime I want.
Okay.
Or in Chicago at guaranteed rate. I can go out in center field and stand by the statue of Minnie Minoso anytime I want.
They didn't let us down there.
You know what? That's there is sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But if you tell somebody, hey, I want to go to this specific shop, they'll let you go as long as you promise to come back. Or you can also sneak in through the kid zone on the upper deck and walk down.
Yeah, Dave, your point's an excellent one. And it's like you said, maybe it's more museum. I mean, the tour of Yankee Stadium is out of this world. It's probably the best one I've gone on, because in addition to Monument Park, they've got that Yankee Hall of Fame museum that's tucked up. It's up by the Great Hall. And yeah, just when you walk in, the Great Hall with these giant banners of all the Yankee legends as you first walk in the ballpark, it's just amazing. But yeah, as far as the game experience, it's expensive. Is it the most expensive ticket in the major leagues? It's gotta be.
I don't know. Is Fenway or San Francisco or the
Fenway is always number 2, I think, and Fenway is not
the
cheap.
Cubbies.
Maybe the Cubs, yeah.
They're
And to get an affordable seat at Yankee Stadium, you're about 100 feet up in the air, and 350 feet from home plate.
Let's look it up. Most expensive baseball ticket, 2019.
Wow. So according to the fan cost index of 2019, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. I would not have called that.
Wow. Let me guess so I can. Yeah, Cubs, Red Sox,
Astros,
Toronto.
No, and Nationals.
See, I'm on another site where
Nationals
it's number 2.
Huh.
This is This is for 2019.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
it's high.
All right, so never mind what we just said, people.
Here are the numbers. Like 200. The fan cost index is $293.96.
And the fan cost index, for those of you who don't know, is the price that it would cost a family of 4 to go to a game. So they include the price of parking for average tickets. I don't think they go high or low. I think they go average. Like
grandstand tickets are 10.
4 hot dogs.
Just
2 beers, 2 sodas.
Eat at home, drink at home.
2 hats and a program, I think, is the fan cost index. $292.
And that's why people go to minor league baseball.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's ridiculous. $295 almost to see a Yankee game. I mean,
The average is 234.
dang.
Jeez. And baseball is the cheapest of the four sports, right?
Well, you know what?
Crazy.
If I'm going with kids, you know, we're
Oh,
going on
okay,
a cheap day.
Here's the fan cost index. The prices of 4 average tickets, 2 small beers, 4 small soft drinks, 4 regular hot dogs, parking for an hour, 2 game programs, and 2 least expensive adult size adjustable caps.
Oh, see, I was off by a program. Please.
There's a lot of stuff
Yeah,
in there.
The parking, and I would suggest anybody who goes to see a game at Yankee Stadium is to take mass transit if you can. Now, if a group of people go, like maybe 4 or 5, drive and split the parking. Last time I was there, I think it was about $20 if you found a cheap spot.
I got paid $45.
But then, it's sometimes you got to look around, and you're looking around the Bronx.
I'm not looking around the Bronx.
Yeah, most people aren't. When you're young, you don't care. But I think I'm just taking mass transit. City Field, there's a parking lot. You can't take mass transit there. But for me, it would be easier to drive there. And I think that was about 20 some bucks. Probably more now. That was about 4 or 5 years ago I was last there. Yeah.
Yeah, and Yankee Stadium really emphasized the experience. Like there's you get like the $20 steak sandwich at the fancy place there, or you can go eat at the Hard Rock before the game.
The
And
Knish.
I don't know. It's not old school, that's for damn sure. So we've got all these sports facilities that have kind of gotten a bad rap or just aren't well loved. But there is an exception to the rule in New York City, is they're not. I'm talking about Madison Square Garden.
Absolutely.
Why? Why is that considered different than all the rest?
Well,
Because I've been there and it's a hole. I'm going to
start with location.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, you're. I can't imagine what it would cost to park around there.
That was.
But you're right.
I went there once for hockey, and I parked in a garage right across the street, and I paid $50.
I can see that.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the
I've
station
never
there?
driven
Is it Penn Station that's right there?
Penn Station.
So the location is amazing. Like
Downtown Manhattan, yes.
oh man, you can't get. I don't know if you can get better. Really.
You can walk to Times Square. You can walk to Broadway. You can walk to the
Yeah.
Fashion District. It's all right there.
But here's the other thing. We complained for years about cookie cutter baseball parks. That they're all the same. They're all the same. They're all the same. And we've talked about it with hockey arenas a little bit. They're all kind of the same. When Tim was on talking about Montreal, they're all kind of the same. Madison Square Garden's not the same. It's unique. It's when you're on the floor, you're in the 5th story or something like that, right? It fits right into that Manhattan sort of look to it. It looks like a big office building in some cases, and like all the drafts that they've held there. Well, not all of them, I guess, but many of them were in like is it a theater that's underneath kind of the main floor or something like that? But yeah, to me, Madison Square Garden is unique. I've only been there for Ranger game. I did the tour there, and yeah, it was we had a blast. We had an absolute blast there. And I'm not a Rangers fan per se, but go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, Madison Square Garden, we have never driven there because growing up in New Jersey, you just drive to Newark, and you park your car, and you take the PATH train, and it drops you off right there.
That would have been the smart move for us to drive to New Haven and then take the train in.
I've seen the Knicks, I've seen the Globetrotters, I've seen the Circus, and I've seen arena football there. So, it's a very special, distinct place to see a game. I don't think I've been to a game there in over 20 years. So it's been quite some time. I know they've renovated it. So I'm not quite sure what it looks like. But, yeah, MSG is, one of the most famous venues here in the States for sports and entertainment. It just goes beyond basketball and hockey. And you're right. It's perfectly placed in Manhattan. So it's footsteps of almost anything that you can imagine. So yeah,
And at one point, it's hard to get your head around this. At one point, the Knicks were like a side attraction when it came to basketball at MSG. Like it was the college basketball place. And there's a ton of literature out there on all of the issues with gambling and point shaving, with all of these different New York colleges, City College and Long Island University, and they all played at MSG, and that was the place, and it was the place for college basketball, and the Knicks were god awful, and nobody cared about the Knicks at that time.
Does anybody care about the Knicks now?
Hey, we're the NIT.
No,
they're 7-8. They won 2 in a row.
The NIT was always at Madison Square Garden, even before the NCAA tournament was the tournament. The NIT was the tournament. It was at MSG.
CCNY?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've only been there once. I went there for a Rangers game, and this was before the renovations. I've heard the renovations are just outstanding. The Sky Bridge and all that stuff. If you ask my wife about MSG, she will instantly go into angry mode because we sat up near the back in one of the corners, and there was a cement outcropping next to us, and I think somebody near us used the hidden corner as a bathroom because our seats smelled like urine the whole game. So it was not a great experience. Dan.
I grew up as Tim just said in the chat. MSG is a WWE shrine, and I say more so than boxing at any level. MSG was built on the back of Vince McMahon Sr. and Vince McMahon Jr., period. That is a wrestling mecca. That is a WWF, WWE shrine. So I grew up with this big, huge reverence of this building and, of course, the Rangers and their history and the Knicks I never cared. But you know, all this builds up, and I finally decide I'm going to go. Phil Collins is going to tour again. I've seen him in Philly last year. I'm going to go to his MSG show just to say I finally went to Madison Square Garden. I was underwhelmed. I mean, maybe it was all the years of the mystique and this lifting up of this building and this grand, this is the world's greatest arena, and it was just another arena. It didn't feel different. It did not feel different. After you walk through Dirty Penn Station and walk up the stairs, I was like, huh. I mean, it's not bad. It's not like that's the worst thing I've ever said. That would be Baltimore Arena. That is the worst arena I've ever had the displeasure of planting my ass on a seat, and I've been there twice. That's an NWA WCW mecca, if we're comparing it to wrestling terms. And the same, it was like the Baltimore Arena. What a dump. But anyway, MSG, I won't besmirch the name by calling it a dump, but it was just like, I was there. Moving on.
But it's also again, it's a spot that has one of the most iconic features in any arena, right? Like that ceiling.
Yep.
Is it not part of the logo?
Well, past the ceiling, I was like, cool.
Well, I've seen it used for the MSG network in the past, but
yes, it is part
the
of the
Knicks
logo.
I don't. Yeah.
See, I'm gonna call you out on this, Dan, and I don't often do this.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
About time.
I don't fully understand the love that you guys have for Hershey Park Arena. I haven't been there.
Don't call me out on that. I have to look at that stupid goddamn thing every time I look up. There's a Hershey Park Arena picture, and I'm not allowed to hang my Spectrum picture. Don't call me out. Call Kelly out on that.
Okay.
Is Dan bad?
But here's the thing, and you said this, Dan. You said, I walked in here and I felt like stuff went down here. But how could you not feel that walking in at MSG? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the long wait and the very long walk that should have. I don't know. You would think that, because when I walked in the building, I'm like, greatness happened here. Hockey, boxing, wrestling. This is like the place. Everything they say on TV, this is the place where you're supposed to feel like that. And by the time I sat down, I had like an initial, hey, wow. And then I looked around and I was like, huh. It's still coming out yet? It was very short-lived. Maybe it was because
You went to a concert instead of a sporting event?
maybe it's that. Maybe
Yeah.
it was that. I'd love to go back. I want to see, and we could debate on how good the Rangers and the Islanders are at every given time, just like any other sports team. But I think I need the full experience. I need to see before whatever they do with it, however long it lasts. I would like to see Islanders Rangers there before the arena dies. That's what I think I would have to reevaluate when I can go there and walk around and actually experience the entire arena instead of just walking through while everybody's tired of standing there, sitting in the seats, waiting for an old band to come out, and then leaving as fast as possible because you got to get on the train to get back to Jersey.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And MSG is now the oldest arena in both the NHL and the NBA. Am I right? Or am I not right?
Oh,
I believe
think
it's the
so.
oldest in the NBA at least. Yeah, because Oakland's no longer in Oakland. 68 is the new
68?
building.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
so.
this is actually the third Madison Square Garden.
Yes, that's another reason. That name, Madison Square Garden, has been around for well over a century. So,
Right. And that's why the Garden in Boston is called the Garden, because the original plan was to build Madison Square Gardens all over the country.
oh yeah,
I don't think it got farther than Boston and maybe one other
Cincinnati Gardens.
place. I think that was different, though.
Yeah, I think that was based off of the Toronto Arena in some ways, or it was based off of one of the gardens. I don't think it was
Cincinnati Gardens was a replica of Maple Leaf Gardens.
Okay.
Smaller version.
Oh, okay. We'll say that for Cincinnati episode.
Don't you miss the days when they named a place the Garden? Just have such a nice.
When they named it after the city.
You know, I just finished this big, huge, massive book on the founding of the Ottawa Senators, the new Ottawa Senators, not the Ottawa Senators of the original
Ottawa
NHL.
Silver 7.
And the original name of the arena there was the Palladium.
The Palladium, you're right.
And I was like,
that's
a
cool
great name.
Yeah.
That's a great name for an arena. And
The
then,
Palladium.
of course, they needed money and
Corel Center, right?
it became the Corel Center. And
Yeah.
then it was a Scotiabank something. And now it's Canadian Tire Center. But yeah, Palladium, it's a great name.
Yeah, but just like the Spectrum, great name for an arena.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
The Centrum in Worcester.
Worcester.
Oh, the Centrum. It's not the
Centrum.
DCU Center.
Yeah, it used to be called the Centrum.
We have a car guy here, Worcester.
The Summit in Houston. Yeah,
that's the first place I learned how they get crushed cars for monster trucks. The interview was done by the guy at the Centrum.
Oh yeah, Sunday.
No. There was an interview where they explained how they actually check the cars and crush them and remove the fuel tank and all this shit for the monster truck. And it was this guy with the heaviest accent talking about we control the cars here, Worcester, and he's doing this whole interview, and I'm just going, yes, what?
Can we go back
to crush cars?
Can we go back to slagging on Yankee Stadium for a minute?
F that stadium. Disgusting.
Anytime you want to go off on the Yankees, go for it.
Dave, you can always talk bad about the Yankees.
This is not necessarily about the Yankees.
Oh, geez.
They're fans.
But you know what? Yankee Stadium bothers me for this reason, for two things. The Pinstripe Bowl and NYCFC.
Oh, yeah.
What a horrible venue for those things. Right?
Have you seen a game there?
God, no.
I wanted to, but my dad didn't want to go.
Doesn't the soccer pitch not fit, so they have to alter the dimensions? Am I right?
I think a little bit, yeah.
Well,
That's because they thought they were going to build a soccer stadium there, and they can't. So now they're stuck at Yankee Stadium, but it's better than playing nowhere. So,
well, in attempting to prep for this, I tried to look up and see where they were at with their stadium, and it just seems like they're spinning their wheels. There's a
Tim, just before you finish, Dave, I just wanted to add to it, just so you can go into it. It's a good opportunity. Tim asked earlier, I've been trying to look for a way to fit it in. With MLS teams moving forward, soccer-specific stadium, why hasn't NYFC built their own stadium like the Red Bull? Space, location, money. What's the issue? Sorry, thought it was good.
Well, one of
setup.
the issues was the Islanders, because
God damn it.
Did they take
bid
their spot?
they bid for the same spot that the Islanders ended up getting.
Yeah, Belmont Park. The New York
Um,
Cosmos wanted that spot too.
But there's just it's
Back in
New
the
York,
70s, you mean, Mark?
New York
No,
politics.
recently the third division team. Yeah,
Oh,
the
So
third
there-
division team wanted it. Okay, sorry, Dave.
There's a spot. Apparently, there's some parking lots not far from Yankee Stadium where there's a group that's trying to push. They're trying to push building a soccer stadium into parking lots there. There's talk of a spot near Citi Field, but then are you getting too far away from your fan base? Like, how localized is your NYCFC fan base, right? Is
I
it
figure the Bronx
like
would be a good spot for them, right?
is it a Bronx thing, or can they actually make a move to Queens like that? Personally, I just say forget it. Go to Red Bull Arena, and who cares that it's in Jersey? It's
Right. So yeah, you're talking
it's,
about
it's a nice one. It's one of
yeah,
my
I was
one of
going
my
to try to
favorites.
segue that way.
Yeah, let's have more professional teams play in New Jersey called New York.
Yeah. So where do the Red Bulls? Where's Red
Harrison.
Bull Stadium?
They play in Harrison, New Jersey, which is right across the river from Newark. Very close. I don't know if there's mass. There is mass transit.
Yep.
And that you could take the path. It stops at Harrison, so people from New York City can get there without driving or taking the bus.
It's easy. It's an easy drive. We drove there.
And it's a nice place, right?
Yeah,
it's a soccer-specific venue. It's perfect.
It's a
sized.
soccer arena,
Yes.
which is I can't think of anyone that is really kind of like that in MLS. Some of the newer ones that they're looking like, I think Cincinnati. Well, you know what? It's kind of like Minnesota, I guess. Fully enclosed, in this, rounded, sort of thing. Not like it's not like BMO, where it's definitely different sets of grandstands kind of put together. A lot of the NFL stadiums are like that, where left side, right side, east side, west side.
Yeah, it's done right. It's done right. And the problem with New York City FC is they're sort of like in a position where they would like their own stadium, but playing at Yankee Stadium is not the end of the world, even though it's not made for soccer and the field's shorter. And they would be better off playing at their own venue where they would probably benefit from, I don't know, sweet money, ticket sales, all things that I'm sure the New York Yankees are getting for having them play there. But you're also playing the Yankee Stadium. You're also attracting 25,000 people a game. So I guess they're okay with it for now, but I think eventually, they're going to have to get a new stadium. And I don't see New York City FC building their own stadium without some major help. It's going to be very difficult. We saw the Red Bulls. I mean, have always been based in New Jersey. They were the New York, New Jersey Metro Stars at Giant Stadium at one time, and they built their new stadium. They became the Red Bulls. So, build. You can share a stadium in New Jersey, or you can build one in New York City. But good luck. I'll be waiting.
And I think the backstory on Red Bull Arena involved some political shenanigans.
No.
So I think the building of that place was not fully on the up and up.
Well,
I don't remember the exact details.
Yeah, because I think they wanted it in Newark, and then Harrison made a play. And even though they're right, the two cities are next door to each other, but Harrison wanted the attention to have a new stadium, and there's a lot of bars within walking distance there. Maybe not some of the greatest bars in the world, but it's a cool spot. It's funny. Every now and then I get phone calls from the Red Bulls asking me why I haven't been out to a game in several years. I say I live in Indianapolis, a little bit of a drive.
I love those phone calls. They crack me up.
Yeah.
They do. They'll have a conversation with me too. It's usually some intern.
Yep.
That's
The
looking to
Rocky
get
Mountain
some
Vibes called
ideas.
me not too long ago.
Yeah.
That's what I'm like. Okay, so when you dialed this phone number, did you happen to look at the area code when you punched it in your phone?
So,
Yeah.
I was just thinking when you talked about political shenanigans, if you ever want to explore how Shea Stadium got built, that is another fascinating story that I couldn't do justice. So I'm not going to really.
Yeah,
get
that was
into it.
supposed to be the home for the Dodgers initially. Like that was the plan, even before the Continental League came about.
Yeah.
So yeah,
but let's stay in Jersey since
another
we're out there for
yeah.
the Red Bulls, and let's head up to Newark. We'll go.
Let's not
we'll
say we did.
We'll take a ride up the turnpike, as it were.
Dinosaur Barbecue,
Prudential Center.
They
Yes.
closed it, didn't they?
One of my favorite places to catch a hockey game.
Wow, that's awesome to hear.
Yeah,
It
now if
was-
anybody else showed up to share that thought.
Well, that's why I like it. It can spread out.
Didn't they close Dinosaur Barbecue in Newark?
No, don't tell me these. Well,
I don't know.
Let's
I
look.
thought they did. I thought we posted about it.
Oh boy.
Yeah, they closed a bunch of them. But anyway, you guys experiences at the Rock?
Yep. No, temporary closed.
Yeah, my experience is driving past it.
Yeah.
That's
Great
what
place
most
for
people do in
hockey.
Newark, drive by it.
Okay, compared to the Meadowlands Arena, great food, great sight lines. I love how the Devils are front and center there, whereas in the Meadowlands it was like,
Comparing anything to Meadowlands Arena is like night and day.
let's just hang a banner here, You got
know
all
what I
those.
mean?
You got all those Stanley Cup banners hanging up.
Yeah, I hear you getting loud. You talk over everybody else. I got to talk over you now.
It's
Son of a bitch.
I'm living on the glory days. I'm like the Yankee fans living on glory days.
Yeah, it's just like the Flyers fans have been living on the glory days since 1975.
Oh boy. So yeah, I like the. I mean, it's in Newark. It's not the best neighborhood, but during a game, you have a lot of traffic. A lot of people are out there, so you're safe. Don't feel like something's going to happen to you. You're also not too. Yeah, you're also not. The Dinosaur Barbecue. It does say it's temporary closed right now.
A block away. I love it. Yeah.
It's right next
There's
to
like
us.
people that say, "Don't go to the Tweeter Center. You're in Camden." I'm like, "Yeah, and
I'd rather be in Newark than the Bronx. Let's just put it that way.
yeah."
We decided one time to go to a game and stay in Newark after the game. It's on one of our big road trips. So in the daytime, we stayed. The hotel was maybe 4 or 5 blocks away. It's a really historic old thing, the Brown Hotel, maybe I want to say, but I'm not sure about that. But walking to the game from the hotel was beautiful during the daylight. Then after the game, you get more than a block away from the Rock in any direction, and now you're in a ghost town.
Yeah.
In Newark.
Wow,
And I used to live in Baltimore, in one of the worst parts of Baltimore. So it takes a lot to scare me, but I was like, Pam, let's start walking faster.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the hotel quick.
I would. Yeah. Well, you got to know where to go. And unfortunately, Newark still has a stigma to a lot of people, not only in New Jersey but out of New Jersey. Yeah. But you're not that far. I don't think you're that far from Penn Station. You're a little bit of.
It's very convenient for public transportation. Yeah.
You're a little bit of a walk from the Ironbound section, which is the Portuguese area, which is totally safe. That's one of the most
you know what?
underrated.
Walking from there, because I've done that. Walking from there up to the Rock, you got to kind of go up under an underpass.
Yeah,
up the hill.
it's not the
and
best.
If you go in the winter, that's where all the homeless people kind of hide because it's a little warmer there. Must be like a doctor there or something. But yeah, we walked by and all of a sudden they were stacked like cordwood up in little. They all had their little cubby holes they had built. It was amazing.
I just want to point out real quick that my buddy from Uniondale is listening, and I hope he missed everything that you guys said about Nassau County Coliseum.
Well, he can listen to it again and direct his comments to me.
Yeah. You can, Derek, sir. You can direct all your hateful comments.
Hey, I had a great time watching indoor lacrosse there, so I just hated paying the tolls over the bridges.
Derek and I have been friends for about 10 years now, and we've had this fun Islanders Flyers thing going on, and I have been very honest with him about he's a good guy, so I wish better for him for his hockey team, and we both agreed that the move to Brooklyn was stupid and wasn't going to last. And he also has sometimes, because he works I won't reveal where he works, but he has his ear to information. So if you guys ever got an update on the situation with the Islanders in our DMs or on the site, it was from him to me. But he was the one that let me know before it was kind of public that this arena for near Belmont was a go, I mean. And listen, it's fun to go. It's not so much fun, but it's fun to go back and watch those games where they spank the Flyers in the old Nassau County. Just a sidebar about the Flyers. Everybody talks about how we haven't won since 1975. Does everybody realize that the Flyers ran into 3 dynasties in the 80s and 90s, and that's what stopped them? Like, how unlucky can you get? Don't rub your eyes, Mark.
I got to be honest, Dan. The only person I ever hear complain about the Flyers not winning since 1975 is you.
That's because you have no friends in Philadelphia except me.
Come to Broad Street. Yeah, 80, 85, 87. You're right.
Oh. Well, no. Very seriously, they ran into the Oilers, where you weren't stopping the goddamn Gretzky. They ran into that
Islanders before that.
They ran into the Islanders before that. That were like, no, sorry, Philly. They ran into the goddamn Red Wings
and the Canadians in '76.
And the Canadian, so they started that. That's their fault. Thank you. And then the goddamn Blackhawks started on them.
Yeah.
God damn it. Anyway.
Then 97.
The Penguins
Detroit.
in there.
How about Detroit?
We didn't lose against. We never got to.
Didn't they make the finals in '97?
Yeah, but that was Detroit.
Yeah, they lost it. Well, that was kind of a powerhouse team.
That's. I just said Detroit. I said the Red Wings. I didn't say the Penguins.
Okay. All right.
If you imagine if we ever did a show focused on Philly, we'd just turn on the recording and let Dan go.
Listen, I spent a lot of time in Philadelphia because it was much cheaper. I could talk about showing the vet with my Met jersey on and getting laughed at.
Oh, am I going to have a boo-hoo story about how they picked on
that'd be good. That'd
now?
probably be a very exciting episode.
Good.
Hey, I don't want to hear
Dave?
it. Whenever I went to Yankee Stadium, I was wearing Red Sox gear. So
Dave?
I don't care.
Come on.
What?
Schedule it. Let's do it. Get it out of our system.
Philly talk, cheesesteak.
I'm going to wait for a previously scheduled engagement that I can't break, and that'll be the Philly day.
That'd be a good one.
They wouldn't need you and I anyway. It was
Listen,
I'm kidding.
Just to backtrack to the Islanders and him making fun of me. This is the whole point.
Talk about the Wings. Talk about indoor soccer. Oh,
all right, but meanwhile, we are not in Philly. We're in Jersey right now.
I just said I brought it. I just brought it back.
Stop.
All right, so we're talking about gigantic stadiums that aren't worth the money that got poured into them.
You know what? I changed my mind. It's not North Jersey. It's New York. You can have it.
It's not South Jersey. It's Delaware County, right?
MetLife Stadium, guys.
Delaware Township. Delaware County's in Pennsylvania.
I thought that was
never been.
MetLife Stadium. How much did it cost to build? $1.4 billion.
Ugliest stadium I've ever seen.
To MetLife?
Yeah, MetLife.
As Stephen Key would say, the giant sardine can. That guy
It
roasted.
looks like a big sardine can.
He's a Giants fan too, and he roasted that stadium.
It doesn't look very interesting, does it?
Well, it's well observed. It's not because
it's a disappointment.
It's in the Meadowlands, so it's not like they built it with like Dave. You were talking before. The best part, the best part about being at a place is the views. There's no views because you've got New York off in the distance if they had built it that way, but it's a square. Rectangle.
Most people can't afford a ticket downstairs, so you're sitting upstairs. And if you go on the tippy top and have somebody hoist you over their shoulder, you can see the New York skyline.
If you're in the last row,
that's as good as you're going to get from that.
It seems kind of weird to me, but it's almost like they took the blueprint of FedEx Field.
Now there's a place to model your stadium.
Yeah, no doubt. And it wasn't like it was, FedEx Field 2 years after it was built.
Yeah,
it was FedEx Field
years.
Long after it was built, but it just seemed, I don't know, and I'm totally judging from like pictures and whatnot. It looks like, how can we fit more seats in here?
That's exactly what it is.
How can we host a Super Bowl?
It was built bigger. How can we fit more people, more ads, more corporate sponsorship?
And Washington at 92,000 capacity at one point was the same.
Yeah.
Well,
the one time I went to MetLife, I actually got tickets down like 10 rows from the field, off the field for $6.
Yeah.
Wow.
StubHub, baby.
What game was that?
They played Jacksonville with the ugly two-tone helmets. The Jets in Jacksonville.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Jets and Jaguars.
Yeah.
Probably a season ticket. I was like, take these tickets.
But yeah. MetLife, no personality, no atmosphere. It's just, Dave, you hit it right on the head. It's jam the people in. Collect the money. Thank you very much.
Well, I can tell you this. Growing up, Giant Stadium was the building, and it was considered the best spot for football. Not a bad seat in the house. It was nowhere near the size of what they did with MetLife. You know, that was my first sporting event was a Cosmos game there, and then of course Jets, Giants, New Jersey Generals, the New York, New Jersey Knights. I mean, I spent a lot of time at Old Giant Stadium, and it was always, you know, just a good, honest place to see a game. And they built this new stadium, and all of a sudden parking's $50. And if you park over here, it's this price. And if you park at one of the hotels, they'll shuttle you over for another price.
That's what we did.
You get to the stadium and there's no personality. And that's the problem and there's no personality for the Jets or the Giants. You know, if the Jets can build their own stadium and make it look like a airplane hangar, that'd be more personality than what they have right now.
Yeah, the coolest thing about MetLife is that they switch it from green to blue, depending on who the home team is. That's really the only interesting thing. I feel really bad for the folks who are in the pro shop because they've got to switch over their whole inventory.
Oh, and to get to that pro shop, if you got a ticket on one end of the stadium, oh my God, you're going to miss half the game going there. It's such a hike. Pathetic. Right. Luckily, I live in Indianapolis next to a real football stadium. I don't like the team, but they need to take notes from that and knock that thing down, or at least convert it. I don't know. Terrible. Missed opportunity with that stadium for the Jets and Giants. Oh, okay. I digress.
All right, so let's possibly end our conversation. I think we hit all the major league teams, but New York City has got two wonderful minor league ballparks. We've talked a lot about minor league ballparks this winter.
Brooklyn in the house.
Let's include Brooklyn and Staten Island in our conversation because, man, those are two fantastic places.
Well, Staten Island does not have a tenant at the moment.
Right.
They lost
a lot of people don't like Staten Island. I prefer Staten Island to Brooklyn myself.
Well, it's a beautiful view. I'll give you that. You cannot beat that view, but the prices were very high at one point. That's what stopped me from going. But Brooklyn is just one of my favorite minor league ballparks. There's always a big crowd. There's always a special night. The colors, the seawater, the seagulls, the neon lights from the amusement park, the smell of Nathan's hot dogs cooking, the boardwalk. Oh, it's just such a cool place to be. A lot of fun there, you know, and it's exciting that they'll have full season baseball there. And I hope Staten Island gets a team. I know they want to convert that to multi-purpose and have maybe rugby or soccer play there. So best of luck to them. I think they did get screwed over by the Yankees a little bit, but I'll keep that for another show.
My friend Jay just wanted to throw more fuel on the fire and said, my Vikes have a great stadium.
The Vikings?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard that Viking stadium, though, when it's sold out, is really
it's a cool
hard
spot.
to get around.
I'm telling you, that's a better stadium than what they built in Giants Stadium. Or the new gym, whatever it's called.
I called it the Big Glass Yard. Go ahead, Dave.
You know, it'd be cool if you had an extended period of time in New York City and you're really hardcore. It would be cool to spend time just bouncing around from college to college and checking out all the little college basketball gyms that they have there. It's you know, St. John's, of course, plays a chunk of their games at Madison Square Garden.
But
they have a cool little arena on campus, and there's all of these mid-major schools that are kicking around, and I would love to just bounce around some of those.
There's probably a couple dozen there within the city.
Yeah.
I know that the oldest college basketball gym still in use is in New York City at Fordham.
Right.
Rose Hill Gymnasium. Is that the name of it? I believe it is. I've been to Fordham for a football game. Nothing to write home about.
Yeah,
but the basketball gym is supposed to be really nice.
Yeah, you're right. And those get overlooked, those like Fordham's Arena. I'm looking at it right now. It's
1923 or something.
Yeah, look at that. It looks like it's been renovated, but you can tell it has old bones. That looks really nice.
Tied with the arena in for Penn University. UPenn?
Palestra. Oh, Palestra.
No, 1923 arena.
I could be off on my dates. I could be.
No, I think you tied
yeah.
it. I think you tied it.
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up when I'm not streaming.
I can't even think now how many Division I teams are in or right around New York City.
Well, the Metro Atlantic is almost, I would say about half of it's in New York City. But
it's just it's so sprawling.
That'd be cool.
I don't think outside of this podcast, let me rephrase that. Outside of the area or people who are who travels for sports like you guys or the people that are listening to the show, I don't think they grasp how spiraling and how momentously big New York City is, and that's why there's so many goddamn teams there. It's huge, to steal a locals term.
It really is. But I think we've tried to hit all the venues we can in New York City, and at the danger of having a 2 or 3 hour podcast, we should probably call it now because we have hit everybody, good and bad. We actually had some nice things to say, and for anybody,
half of it I was kidding, by the way.
The irony that I've got 2 Boston jerseys behind me is not lost on me. It's not done intentionally. But.
The other irony for Jay is I agree that the Vikings have a great stadium, and it looked great when the Eagles won the Super Bowl inside of it. Thank you. Good night.
So we always try to wrap up our shows when we can by talking about where we're going to be going, where we've been in the past 2 weeks, where we're going in the next 2 weeks. And Mark, you said you have hit the road a little bit here. You've had some travel.
Yeah, I checked out a couple basketball.
Thanks for spreading the virus, jerk.
Oh, please. Please. The people here in Indiana are doing that for me. So, I went down to the Swiss City Gym. That is the home of the White River Valley High School basketball team. A sunken gym that was built in 1955. It's been the home of 2 previous high schools. I was there for the Greene County Invitational. There might have been maybe 60, 80 people in the building.
Wow.
Not very exciting. It sits about 3,000. Not too exciting, but it was a chance to get on the road and drive and check out a part of Indiana I haven't been to. They did have a full concession, which was interesting because most places I go to, they're either closed or they're just giving you chips and soda. They had everything from nachos to hot dogs to barbecue pork to sloppy joes. It was insane, and I don't think they sold much because there wasn't too many people there.
One guy ate a whole hell of a lot.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like I didn't have any cash on me. I already had breakfast before I went. I wasn't expecting food there, but I was like, wow, this is a good place to come and get some tasty treats and not be hungry after the game, because sometimes you go to an arena, a high school venue, and it's in a small town and there's nothing nearby. So I checked that out. It's nice. I would love to go there when there's more people there, but that's just the time we're living in. So about a half hour north in Clay City, I went to the Eel Dome, which is home to the Clay City High School Eels. Another gym, very similar. It's the same type of gym, but they had windows on the side, and now they're blocked off, but they still show a little bit of light. So you have a little more natural lighting coming inside this gym. And they also renovated it. It's a wraparound concourse now. And once again, 60 people are at the game. But nicer looking gym. It feels more modern. It doesn't feel like it was built in 1955. It never changed. This gym had a little more style. The eel color, the logos are all over the place. So it's a cool little spot for basketball. And there was a barbecue place down the street, which wasn't too bad. It was a local Memphis-style barbecue shop. So I had a good time hanging out there, trying some food and watching the Colts-Buffalo game from a few weeks ago. So 2 nice gyms that I would love to go back to when, we don't have a pandemic and the place is packed. I'm sure it would be a madhouse.
Yeah, big difference. Big difference between what it used to be and what it will be again and what it is right now.
But yeah, that 2 high school gyms. I'm going to 2 more not this week, that weekend after. So I'll probably see a little more similar atmospheres there as well.
Beautiful. And for our listeners who follow your travels, Mark, where can they follow you online?
You can follow me online at Ballpark Hunter on Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube. Check out my review of the Teague Arena. That's an old classic high school gym here in Indiana. Getting a lot of compliments from a lot of alumni from the school. Nice,
very good. And Mark, I want to thank you for carrying the content on Stadium Journey lately. It seems like we should recall it, VK's Journey, because you have just been a machine. How do you do that in work? I don't know.
I do it I probably do it when I'm not supposed to. Like at work, I'm at my desk a lot. Now I have the kids back in the building, so you may not see so much content. But when you're sitting at your desk and you have 2 kids in your class and they're doing their work, you got some time to move things around. So it's just, I don't know. Just when I get that urge to write, I just had a conversation with the commissioner of the Prospect League, Dennis Bastian, for about 45 minutes the other day. So I'm working on an article with him. I have never talked to a baseball commissioner as freely and as lengthy as I did the other night. It was a great conversation, and I'm looking forward to the baseball season starting. Hopefully that can start on time. Yeah. Should be. We'll see.
Fantastic. Ballpark Hunter.
Yeah.
Dan, you got a lot going on right now. Where can our listeners follow you online in your multimedia efforts?
Dan83 on all social media platforms and anywhere you can stream stuff except Pornhub that I know of.
Yeah, Pornhub's good
How
stuff.
about OnlyFans?
Only Dan's.
OnlyDans.
OnlyDans.com. If you join our Fortnite streams on Friday, you'll hear a lot of that.
Well, okay. If that's not an incentive, I don't know what is.
No, not the porn part. Never mind.
Dave, get me back on track. Where can our listeners follow you?
For God's sakes.
You can follow me at ProFan9 on Twitter. Literary journey continues. I'm just into the audiobook called the Pittsburgh Cocaine 7, which is interesting because it's all about, cocaine and the pirates in the 80s when I was too young to know what cocaine was or know that this was going on. So, yeah.
I knew about that. Really.
Yeah. I'm surprised. Anyway, I'm also into this book here. It's called Ballpark Figures. My dad actually bought this when it's from like 1987. So I was, 9? No. Yeah, no, 12. Anyway, it's all about the business of the Blue Jays and their kind of first ownership group. And it's really, really kind of fascinating. So, it's been sitting on my shelf for a couple decades now. So I got nothing else to do. So I pulled that one out. But before I hand it off, can I do a little bit of a shout out here?
Absolutely.
So I know I have, and I think others have as well, have been critical of the fans of the Buffalo Bills. Bills Mafia and, crazy drunken parties and smashing tables and jumping off of RVs. I've been fairly critical of Bills fans, and of course anyone who knows me knows that I'm not a Bills fan, that I'm a Miami Dolphins fan. And I do have to say I am happy to see that the Bills have brought themselves to relevance, but I was intrigued to see that with Lamar Jackson in the AFC semifinal game, got a concussion.
Great story, yeah.
And the Bills Mafia, Bills fans have ended up donating over $360,000 to his favorite charities.
Which is Louisville supplies backpacks to school kids in the Louisville area, yeah.
That's it. What an awesome story. So, Bills Mafia, thumbs up to you guys. All that money you weren't spending on tables, I guess you found a good spot for it.
Well, one of the guys I talked to a lot on Twitter said, you know what, and he lives in the Syracuse area, Shane, shout out to you. He says, if I was smart, I would buy a bunch of tables, in a big box truck or something and set up shop on one of the roads leading into Bill Stadium. I'd make a fortune just selling plastic tables.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't get the allure of jumping on a table. Dan, maybe you could explain it, but
when you're young and full of alcohol.
I don't know. Have you seen these guys? A lot of them are not young. They are full of alcohol for sure.
Okay, well, or
I like the guy who set himself on fire and then did it.
Yeah, that's a weekend in South Jersey wrestling, sir.
So as for myself, you could follow my Stadium Journeys on Twitter or Instagram at PuckmanRI. I actually am getting back into the stadium journeying a little bit. I mean, if you can call driving 10 miles up the road to work some UMass Dartmouth basketball games, stadium journey, then hell yes, stadium journey. Because the Division III basketball season is starting up this weekend. I do the PA for the men's and women's basketball teams. So looking forward to doing that. It's going to be an empty gym, no fans allowed. But you know what? We're still going to bring the energy. So it'll be great just to be back in the gym and to hear the speakers and smell the smells and all that good stuff. So looking forward to that, and I'll let you know how it goes, and I'll let you know where they put me too, because the Trip Athletic Center is a big place. It probably can seat 5,000 people, and there's probably going to be 10 of us working the game, so they're probably going to spread us out quite a bit. So that'll be interesting in itself as well. So that's what I'll be doing the next couple of weeks. I think we have 3 or 4 games before that. The setup for the games. Let me give you guys a little behind the curtains look here. So the first game is Saturday. I need to get a COVID test done 48 hours before the game. So I need to go to UMass. I work 45 minutes to the north up towards Boston. And so I've got to somehow get to work, get back to UMass Dartmouth, and then get back up to work in time to get my coronavirus test. And we have to do that before every game. So this is going to be an interesting juggle. And the players have to get tested 3 times a week. So a lot of testing going on. So we'll see. I know Saturday was supposed to be a doubleheader. The women's at 1 and the men's game at 4:30. The women's game has already been canceled. So it's going to be interesting to see how Division III can make a season happen. They're just playing. The Little East Conference is just playing. 6 out of the 9 teams are playing, and they're just playing a conference schedule. So that will be their whole season, 10 games. But it's something. 10 games is better than no games, as we all learned over this summer.
Tim says nothing like a Q-tip touching your brain.
Yeah, I've had so many tests. I don't think I've brained my damage at all. So,
never mind.
So, everybody, thanks for listening. And don't forget to check out our website, stadiumjourney.com. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram at Stadium Journey. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow our Facebook page. All that good stuff. You can find Stadium Journey Podcast at vocnation.com or just search VOC Nation Radio Network on whatever podcast app you use. All the cell phones have them these days, modern technology. And as some of you know, because you're watching us right now, we simulcast live every other Tuesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern at twitch.tv/danlaw83. We will be back in 2 weeks, February 2nd. Groundhog Day, right? That's Groundhog Day. Am I right?
Sure.
Yeah, and we're going to have a groundhog guest. We're going to have Sean Aronson back joining us. He is the Director of Broadcasting and Media Relations for the new AAA affiliate of the Minnesota Twins, the St. Paul Saints. So we're going to ask him what it's going to be like going from independent baseball to affiliated big-time baseball. That'll be a great show. Sean's a great guest. He was wonderful last time we had him on.
Fun.
So that's
Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So for Dan Calachico, Mark Viquez, and Dave Cotney, I am Paul Baker. Until next time, since we talked about New York today, if you can make it there, you're going to make it anywhere.